yeah, yeah. So if you take if you go sort of literally how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself would have translated a word like Boigyanik, it's scientific. You may even use it. It's part of the sort of broader discourse of that time. That's how Bengalis writing in English would have. But to be literal, you then translate it. Okay, cool. That's historically accurate,
Mm,
but it loses its sense of meaning in the English language, by which it has a much narrower sense these days, right? Like it means like the things informed by the empirical method of the sciences, and I think it didn't have that sort of more narrow connotation back in the late 19th
what is
century.
that word, sorry, that you're mentioning?
So like Vigyan, Bigyan,
Mm,
Boigyanik is like the adjectivalization of the noun Vigyan.
okay.
Vigyan. Specific knowledge, like Guru Maharaj is jnana and Vigyana. So
Mm,
like Vishishta, qualified specific knowledge of a thing, realized maybe Boigyanik. Yeah, it's so anyways, that just points to the sort of broader issue of like there's always some loss, there's some distortion in the attempt to translate,
mm,
right? And you have to make choices. Am I making it relevant to today, or am
right.
I trying to be super as it is in the late 19th century? But there's a loss. It's not that that doesn't lose things, that also potentially distorts due to our own present shaping, right?
Right.
Our own conceptual formation.
Right.
So it's hermeneutic, right? There's never a complete thing, and you have to make choices, and then you start translating, and then you, oh God, actually, maybe I need to do it like that. And, so hence the sort of drafty nature of the thing. And anyways, but one needs to, yeah, come to some decisions in the end. So we'll just jump into it. I won't waffle
Okay.
anymore. And so just a brief recap in terms of those who weren't here last week. We were just dealing with really the sort of publication history, or the role that the Paramārtha Dharma Nirṇaya played in the context of the early why Gurudev published the text. Sorry, I just need to find my PowerPoint, and then can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Um, wait, hang on. Okay, here we go. Is that working for you?
Or, I mean, yeah. Did you have any particular questions, Bishaka? Like
No, no,
in
no,
terms
no,
of,
no. No, not at
why
all.
don't you steer it a little bit? No, 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 no,
No, no, no. I mean,
no.
I'm
But
just
you look like you do, though. You look like you do a
no,
little.
no, no. The only thing I was gonna say was just, one thing I remember Goswami Maharaj commented once was, all translation is interpretation. It just comes down to that. And I remember from that experience when I helped yourself and Tyagi Maharaj a little bit with Sharanagati, and even recently in Salt Lake City, we were singing some of the Sharanagati songs, and we started comparing some of the translations, and I'm like, oh man, like is it better like this? Is it like that? And the truth is that you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be. Oh, you're muted, Lolita. You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always loss. There's something that a French philosopher that I like says about there's always a violence in translation. One
Okay,
always
I like that.
one always distorts,
Mm,
but yet it's a necessary violence, because
mm,
without that risk of distortion, there's no understanding. There's no
right,
possibility of understanding,
right.
right? So I guess the one thing that one can do is to at least be reflexive of one's distortions and
Mm,
make those as transparent as possible. But
mm,
then, I mean, there's also like the thing with how much do you translate technical terms? Like in today's passage, it's going to be Varnashram Dharma, right? Are we doing it, okay, we can keep that. We'll keep that Varnashram Dharma, right?
mm,
But then where do you draw the line as to and at a certain
Right.
point, what are we just basically going to give all the technical terminology in the Bangla or Sanskrit, and then it becomes like, well, what's the point of translating this? It's like, learn the language and read it. But yeah, so okay, so just briefly to recap. So we were just going through a little bit of the publication history, and then I thought it would be helpful to go through the yeah, so this was the thing. Sorry, let me open my thing properly. um and is there something that you need to do with the, so last time the things were covering some of the PowerPoint, so I don't know if on your screen moving that to the bottom or something, Bishako, or like, didn't you mention that things were being concealed on
Oh,
the
that in the
on the
recording.
yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately,
yeah,
I don't know how to fix that. And it seems to be a bit random. It could be a
okay,
glitch because I've also noted in other recordings it'll just cut out the images of the participants, but then usually it keeps them, and it might just be a
okay,
glitch. So yeah, I don't know if
okay.
I can fix it.
Yeah, so this was the, sorry, I just go through, so we did all of that. And
Mhm.
then yeah, so we were here, right? This, oh, no, we weren't there. We were beginning the text, and I said to just read. So this is actually not contained in the Paramārtha Dharma Nirṇaya,
Mm.
as it was published in the context of the Mott. This is from the first edition of the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Sorry, I have to take these out. These are not very helpful to me. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not sure if we can still hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? Or maybe he's putting them back in.
Keep them in, but I'm not hearing
Okay.
my own voice, so it's a bit.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
I see.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. But so this is from the first edition of the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, which was published in the year 400 Gaurabda, which translates to 1886. Oh,
Hmm.
sorry, I'm a bit not very. Uh, I'm a bit crap at this sort of stuff. Yeah. So this is that edition of the text. Um, and if you recall, Srila Gurudev had said in his uh, editor's note that these two chapters will not fail to produce intense enthusiasm to study the book as a whole. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I thought, just to begin, to give a little bit of a sense of like, what is the book as a whole then? If the
Hmm.
Paramārtha Dharma Nirṇaya comprises the first and the first chapter and the conclusion of the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, well then what does the book as a whole look like for those who aren't familiar? So this is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a sense of that himself in the context of his short introduction to the text, um, which we read this last time. And I thought we would just continue. It's only two and a bit pages, so I thought maybe. Do you think is it useful to do that? Well, I mean that's all I prepared, so that's all I can do,
Yeah,
unless
let's
you
do
guys want to
it.
talk about
Yeah,
something else. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So just to recap, this is what he says here. Da, 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 da. There's the desire to learn about the teachings of Lord Chaitanya has arisen among many. Yet that work is not comprehensible to everyone. No, sorry, all his teachings can be found in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, yet that work is not comprehensible to everyone. We have thus succinctly compiled all Mahaprabhu's teachings in simple Bengali prose. Moreover, everything he taught, okay, etc., etc. You can read it for yourself. So then, that was the first paragraph, right, of
Mm.
this image here, that first chunk of text. So now we go on to the next one, if that's okay. And I just thought do
Yeah,
it just in order. Yeah?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just maybe one thing I'll mention, because there's a whole following who can't join the meetings, but they are following, and I talked about this with Isha Bandhu Prabhu. He wanted to join today, but it's like midnight in Australia, so I guess he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
But he really, like, one of his favorite parts was that. Can you go back to the previous one? I mean, you did show it in the previous meeting. But that this point that Bhaktivinoda makes about rasa, um,
Hmm.
where, oh yeah, here, the system of rasa he revealed has only been discussed to the degree that it can be known by the public. One will not find in this book any topic relating to that system that should be learned at the feet of Sri Guru. Like that's a really interesting point, isn't it? That that
Massively so, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And to put it at the very outset of the book, right?
Mm,
That it's and also kind of, very much in line with the way that we're taught in the context of the mart, right? That these are high things. They're not just for um, amusement, but yeah, and it's important to guard
mm,
these subject matters, right, from general consumption, or
mm.
even from, yeah, including uh, devotees themselves. um,
Right.
uh, yeah. So yeah, no, that is a. I thought that too when I read that. Um, did he have any particular thoughts on that, or just appreciation for?
I think, I mean, I don't remember so much now. I think, yeah, mostly just appreciation,
Okay, yeah,
that point. And that, when, as Gurudev would say, like when we're ready, it will come. We don't have to jump, we don't have to forcefully jump into these higher things, but when it is the right time, then it will be revealed and under the guidance of Guru, right? So,
yeah, exactly. Sorry, I wasn't on the right page. It's there here. One will not find in this book that he has. So the system of rasa, the rasa tantra, the prakashita rasa tantra, um, that he revealed, has only been discussed to the degree that it can be known by the public. Shadaron, this one, it is to be known, gyatobbo. It is to be known, right? It should be known to the degree that it should be known. Um, yeah, and there's yeah. So then he goes on to, and also this line here is actually, and I've kind of revised the translation a little bit. I've changed it from, I think I had said this line in the middle after Bengali prose. Moreover, everything he taught through intimation. So it's the word there is abhase, shikka, diachilen. Everything that he taught by intimation indirectly about, and I had previously written I think the deep relationship, and the term there is Gouda, right?
mm,
Uh, so yeah, so we have this like Gudartha, the hidden meaning,
mm,
or it can be profound. Yeah, good. I I thought maybe I don't know. This again, as this is all somewhat in flux, but it's kind of like like another meaning can be like sukshma, like subtle,
mm,
and I'm thinking that yeah, potentially that is more the intention because it's like yeah, I guess it's also profound, of course, but he spends a lot of time emphasizing this, as we'll go on to say. So, and again, I also changed. I said Noitik Dharma. I think I had ethical religion. I'm thinking maybe more like moral duty rather than religion here. Although I don't know. Okay, this is all just a draft. So I may return to translating in this particular because dharma as well is one of those contextual words that just like
yeah,
sort of shifts according to the context in which it's being used. But potentially, as we'll go on to see in the next in the next paragraph, he spends a lot of time foregrounding what he's done in the text in relation to varnashram dharma, and basically these yeah. So let's go on to look at that now.
okay.
Okay, so, oh no, sorry. First is now his sources. So Mahaprabhu did not compose any work of his own. Yeah, the entirety of Mahaprabhu's teachings must be gathered from works composed by vessels of his unlimited mercy, Atyanta Kripa Patro, right? And then he, such as this Acharjagon, this Roop, Sanatan, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, Jeev, Sharup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, Kavi Karnapur, Balare Vidyabhushan, O Vishwanath Chakrabarti Prabriti, Acharjagan. So, such as them, all the works that they've composed, the entirety of Mahaprabhu's teaching, must be collected from these works, right? And then he goes on to say, after composing a work in accordance with Mahaprabhu's order, many among them would read it to him. So this is Tahader Modde, Oneke Mahaprabhur Adesh Motte Granta Rochana Korea, Tahake Granta Sravan. And then, the verb for read, I translated as read, is Sravan Korayachilen. So it means literally to make hear, to make him hear, so to read. They would read, so many among them. And I was thinking, who do we know who does that other than Rupa Goswami?
Who do we know who does what? Sorry?
Who composes a work and then reads.
Reads the Mahaprabhu.
He
yeah,
gives
I was very curious about that. Yeah, what does he mean by that exactly? Interesting.
Yeah, he says here, Tahader Modde Oneke Mahaprabhur Adesh Mote Granta Rochana Korea. So having composed a work, in accordance, Adesh Mote, in accordance with Mahaprabhu's direction, order, many among them, Tahader Modde Oneke, many among them, would then Tahake Granta Sravan Korayachilen. So it's a causative. It's not just they would hear. Sravan is generally like hear, Sravan Kora, but to cause to hear. They would make him hear. They would read it to him. And as I was saying, the only, I guess maybe Swarup, Ramananda Rai, recite some Rupa Goswami. But I was thinking, who else does that? I don't know.
Well,
anyone else have any
and
ideas?
Vishwanath, they weren't came into the world later as well. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
much
he does
later.
say many among them. That's very curious.
Yeah, many among them. Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah. So, anyways, but the idea is that, and then he says, therefore, all the doctrines, all those shokol mota, all those mota, I guess, conceptions, doctrines, views, those great souls, Mahattogon, Lippi Baddha Koriachen, those that they set down in writing, are sanctioned by Mahaprabhu. Yeah, the word here is Mahaprabhu Shamata. Tahate kichu matra shondehunai. Of this, there is not even a little doubt, the slightest doubt of this, there is not. Yeah, so everything that they wrote was sanctioned by him. The entire exposition of this work, this book, i.e. the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, has been compiled from works that include the following. So those grantha that are nimna likita, that are mentioned below, all of those, from those, this book, the exposition of this book, the entire discussion of this book, everything I'm doing here has been compiled, Shongrahita Hoyache, has been gathered from those texts, which include the following, right? And then so he lists first Jiva Goswami's Shat Sandarbha. Is everyone familiar with this text? His 6 essays or 6 treatises, which essentially lay out a systematic theology rooted deeply in the Srimad Bhagavatam. right? And sort of serve as the kind of canonical systematic theology of the entire Gaudiya tradition in its earliest phase. And then again, Jiva Goswami's Sarva Sambhadini. Anyone heard of this?
I haven't.
Okay, it's well. This is Jiva Goswami's what the expression that sometimes uses auto commentary, his own commentary on the Sandarbhas, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So that then, sorry, I'm stuck here. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, which is the kind of authoritative, most canonical exposition on Shuddha Bhakti within the context of Gaudiya understanding. And as we saw earlier on in the last session, that this is, I think, one of the first publications of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math that ascribed to the editorship of Srila Sridhar Maharaj himself, but a sort of collaborative effort. And then Rupa Goswami's Ujjwala Nilamani, which is one of those texts that we don't read in our Math, which essentially is a companion to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but centered exclusively on Sringara Rasa or Madhura Rasa, right? This amorous devotion of the gopis. Then Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita, right, which is a text that Guru Maharaj, at least in the works that I'm familiar with, would refer to quite a lot, centering on Gopakumar and his sort of movement up the different stages of devotion until being reunited with Krishna. And then Sanatana Goswami's Laghu... No, I think I don't know if it actually says that, because the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, sorry, this may be a mistake on my part. Let me just quickly look. Laghu Bhagavatamrita is a text by Rupa Goswami. So let me just, sorry, have I got this wrong? No, sorry, yeah, please. No, that's wrong. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives it as Rupa Goswami. Exactly. That was yeah. Excuse that. Let me delete that. Rupa.
so these are the books
And then
that Bhaktivinoda says, like the essence of their teaching found in this Chaitanya Shikshamrita, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, this is a bit of a disaster today in terms of the PowerPoint. Okay, here. This is what I want to share.
And welcome.
Except, am I still sharing my screen or not?
No, not anymore. No, we don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome Krishna and Johnny and Nazar and Ananta Shesh with a few more joined.
Okay, so we got here Laghu Bhagavatamrita, then the Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami, which essentially pertains to, you say, Vidhi Bhakti, all the at least that's how Rupa Goswami refers to it in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that there are, I think he says, Lakshasha, that he gives 64 limbs of Vaidhi, and then he says, but these are treated in the hundreds of thousands by in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. So very much centered on Vaishnav, Sadachar, ritual, etc. And then Baladev Vidyabhushana's commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Govinda Bhashya, as it comes to be known. His Vedanta Shyamantaka, which again is a sort of another Vedantic treatise, but a shorter one, as well as his Prameya Ratnavali, which is where you kind of get these, I think it's 9. He outlines, it's there you get this sort of, these 9 truths, these 9 Prameyas, and then he says, Mahaprabhu, Madhva taught these or something like that, and then Mahaprabhu taught these as well. These were accepted by something like that. And, it's quite an interesting work, but situates the Gaudiya tradition in the context of the Madhva Sampradaya. And Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Kavi Karnapura's Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, which is a kind of biography of Mahaprabhu, written in Sanskrit by Kavi Karnapur, who's in Bengal, the son of Shivananda Singh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I wanted
So
to ask you that. I didn't want to interrupt your flow. So okay.
Yeah.
And
so
that
he's the son
text is actually cited several times in Charitamrita, isn't it? The Chaitanya Kaviraj Goswami includes some of his very beautiful Sanskrit verses, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. As well as it implicitly informs a lot of the narrative, of Mahaprabhu, particularly I think later on in the sort of later portions of his life, the Madhya and Antya, I believe. And it's interesting because it's written, so a Nataka is a drama, right? So it's written in the style of a stage performance, right? But it's all about and it's Sanskrit as well, which is interesting. So it's a Sanskrit drama centered on the life of Mahaprabhu.
Wow.
Right. And it's even got now, the stage directions and stuff. Now they come walking in, or like, there's yeah. It's really quite, it's really cool. And I think it's also here you get the it's a kind of, if it's a drama and then you have the play within the play, like when Mahaprabhu and his associates are, so it's a play. It's explicitly structured or presented as a play, and then and of course it's about Leela itself, right? And then within that play, framed as a play, they're also playing, like performing drama, which is quite interesting.
Wow.
Really quite trippy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another text by Kavi Karnapura, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives it as Kaustuba Alankara, generally known as Alankara Kaustuba, which is a treatise by Kavi Karnapur on Sanskrit poetics, right? Rooted in devotion. And finally, Krishnadas Kaviraj's Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself says contains the entirety of Mahaprabhu's teachings. Everything can be found there, right? As we read last week. And then he makes a little interesting comment at the end. He says, additionally, well, actually, I kind of had to, I think he says, Prabriti e granta, something like that. Anyways, he says here, so I had to break it up and put part of the next sentence in the preceding sentence, in the sentence that precedes the list. But commentaries on these works, on those works, as well as various, I think Nanha, I forget what he says, Tad Anujai Nanha Kudra Pustak. So various minor books that follow these, right? So these are his sources. These are the sources that he then goes on to, he draws upon to compose the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. And as he says, we have no choice but to do that because Mahaprabhu didn't compose any work of his own. So we need to turn to, he distributed all of his teachings through the receptacles of his unlimited mercy, i.e., authors, the authors that he lists. And this is the bit that I was referring to earlier. So in the second shower of this book, and if we recall, that's the chapters are called brishtis, so showers. So in the Ditya Brishtite, uh, the second chapter of this book contains an exposition on Varnashram Dharma, or it is discussed. Varnashram Dharma is discussed, has been discussed. In this regard, some might think that Mahaprabhu nowhere taught the ordinary duties of Varna and Ashram. I mean, literally, Jai Mahaprabhu, Shamonna Varnashram Dharma, Konostole, Shikha Dennai. So, in no place, Konostole, did Mahaprabhu teach or provide teaching Shikha Den on Shamanna Varnashram Dharma, so general, ordinary, conventional Varnashram Dharma. To this, we would respond that Mahaprabhu's life itself provides comprehensive instruction in Varnashram Dharma. Through his own nectarian pastimes and teachings, Mahaprabhu brings complete solace to all afflicted living beings. Um, uh, so, and then he goes on to give some examples of how he does this. Adao grihashta dharme abashtiti kale tini dharma shastra hoite e shlokti path koren. So, at the time of assuming the duties of a householder, so abastiti kale, like establishing grihastha dharma or being situated in grihastha dharma, he recites the following verse from Dharma Shastra. Na griham griham ityahur grihini griham uchite taya hi sahita sarvan purushartan samashnute. So generally when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this, he's giving a Sanskrit shloka. He then gives his Bengali rendering underneath. He didn't do it for this one, but I think it's fairly simple anyways. So na griham iti ahuhu. So a house is not called, they do not call ahu a house a home. I guess, na griham. They do not call the building itself a home. Grihini griham uchite. The grihini, a wife, is said to be uchite, the griha, the home. Tayahi sahita, so together with her, sarvan purushartan, sarva purusharta, all ends of life, goals of life, can be achieved, right? So, and Mahaprabhu, I think, recites this in, I did check, but I think it's the 15th chapter of Adi Lila. And then he gets married.
Chaitanya
Right?
Bhagavat or
He cites
Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Chaitanya. I don't know if it's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. I didn't check there, but it's in the Charitamrita.
Oh, okay.
It's in the Charitamrita. And also, interestingly, the first line is found actually also in Panchatantra, but the full verse itself is found in, and this is given in the Gaudiya Math edition of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, edited by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Udvaha Tattva, by the Smriti Shastra composer, Raghunandan Bhattacharya, a famous sort of like Smarta Brahmin compiler, more or less contemporary with Mahaprabhu, or maybe junior. I'm not. The dates are a little uncertain, but I find it interesting that this is attributed to Mahaprabhu, or it's that Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Mahaprabhu, recites this verse just before he gets married.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because from like where I'm coming and understanding, from what we've heard from our Gurudev and Param Guru Maharaj, and also from our other gurus, Mahaprabhu, Varnashrama Dharma is not so much the thing. So my question is like, like, because part of the purpose seems like part of the reason for this book in the first place is that Bhaktivinoda is making a response to those who are like doubting the ethical nature of Mahaprabhu's movement. And so is that why Bhaktivinoda is like highlighting this? Like, we're not just a sentimental, emotional movement and we do random things, but Mahaprabhu has showed the importance of structure and morality and order in society. Would you say that's why Bhaktivinoda is highlighting this point?
Oh yeah, I think that that's definitely why he's highlighting it. If think that so that text that I believe was published in Paramārtha as well, but is the kind of first public talk that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives, aligning himself
Mm,
with Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So the Bhagavat, it's
mm,
I forget what the full title is.
yeah.
It's generally just referred to as the Bhagavat speech.
Mm,
In there, if you recall, there's a bit where Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "So what is the Bhagavat?" Someone will say it's this sort of antiquated book. I mean, I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but an antiquated book that is full of gibberish, basically, or
mm,
that. And there's some sense throughout that text of the perception of Vaishnavism in
right.
this context, particularly within his particular social milieu.
Mm,
And essentially, Vaishnavas are not looked upon with a great deal of admiration, shall we say?
right.
It's had been associated, and we hear this as well, that like Shuddha Vaishnavism had been completely lost, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, he's rejuvenating the pure current, right? As Gurudev himself says in his own introduction to the Paramārtha Dharma Nirṇaya. He's setting in motion again, or he's reviving that current that Mahaprabhu set in motion. Um, and so I think that this is actually quite central to it, really, at least the way that it takes shape and the emphasis that he's giving in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. I think he sees in the context of Varnashram Dharma the platform of basically just living a bit ethically and dutifully.
Mm,
And somehow this is kind of, he's saying this is not disconnected from the practice of
mm,
Vaishnavism. These aren't unrelated spheres, but there's
mm,
a subtle or deep or hidden relationship that Mahaprabhu's life itself embodies. And he teaches comprehensively in his through his life, it's through his very life,
mm,
his pastimes.
right.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of interesting that like this is this and of all the topics that get discussed in this very short introduction, Varnashram Dharma and its place in the context of the Chaitanya Shikshamrita
Mm,
receives the greatest foregrounding because somehow we can only infer from that that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt it necessary
right.
to, both highlight the connection and also justify its inclusion,
Mm,
right? Because
mm,
many might. What do we hear on the last page? That some might say, or it is possible to sorry. Oh no, sorry. That's the next. Sorry, that's the. Oh yeah, it's here. In this regard, some might think that Mahaprabhu nowhere taught Samanya Varnashram Dharma, general Varnashram Dharma, or I've given it as I was just experimenting with like trying to translate this, how one would translate the ordinary duties of Varna and Ashram. Right? These are like, no, this is not part of his thing. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, no, his life itself teaches this fully. Um, and then, yeah, so there was that verse. And then he cites, firstly, Adao, yeah, at the beginning, at the time of assuming the duties of a householder, entering Grihastha Dharma, uh, Mahaprabhu says this, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, perhaps elsewhere. Maybe someone might want to check. It might also be in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Um, and then next we get, in accordance with this Dharma Shastra teaching, so a Dharma Shastra Upadesh, the one that we just read, that verse that I said is from this Udvaha Tattva by Raghunandan, his 28 tattas on essentially Smriti. So through this, in accordance with this Dharma teaching, he himself, Tini Shayam Udvaha Karja Shikar Koren, undertakes the duty of marriage, Ebong Jagat Ke Taha Shikaden, and teaches it to the world. Yeah. He taught people, so humanity, Manavgon, auxiliary injunctions. So the term here is Gaunabidhi, the secondary rules, right? The supportive rules, injunctions, by way of, through observing such injunctions as, and then he gives a list here of Pitamatar Sheba, given as filial piety, service to father and mother, hospitality, atitya, the performance of rites such as Gayasrata upon the death of the father, Pitar Dehante, Gayasradhadi Kriya, so all these rituals that associated with the passing of one's parents, Brahman Shaman, honoring Brahmins, Vidya Bhashe, the cultivation of the practice of knowledge, or so the pursuit of learning, Nyaya Purvak, Danoparjan, so the earning of an honest living, so the dhana, earning, uparjana, the Nyaya Purvak, honestly, by means of honesty. Satta truthfulness, doya, sattapalon, truthfulness, and the observance of vows and the like. Upon accepting sannyas, he also properly taught steadfastness in that order of life. His guidance concerning varnashrama is provided, above all, in the following two verses he cites from the Bhagavat, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Any questions on this, or comments, or whatever? Yeah. But you see, he's foregrounding somehow, at the very beginning, Noitik Dharma. It takes shape in this context, and Mahaprabhu's life embodies, at its foundation also, it's that sort of practice of moral conduct. Swanushtitasya, so this is a verse from the Bhagavata Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second chapter of the first canto, a portion of that verse. Swanushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam, which literally means, because underneath is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's translation, but just to parse the Sanskrit briefly, that the perfection, samsiddhi, of dharma that is executed, is haritoshanam, the pleasing of Hari. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's glossing it. Varnashram rupa dharma uttam rupe anushtita hoiya jodi haritoshanke labh kore tobe tahar samsiddhi hoy. So varnashram dharma executed meticulously, uttam rupe, properly. I thought maybe it doesn't quite work if you say properly, because then you're not doing it properly, unless it pleases Hari. But if you're doing it scrupulously or meticulously, it attains perfection only if it pleases Hari, right? So I guess that's how we understand it, right? That if it doesn't bear fruit in the pleasure of the Lord, then it's not complete yet. And then again, another Bhagavad verse. Dharma swanushtita pungsam vishvaksena katasu yaha notpadiyad yatiratim shama eva hi kevalam. So again, basically saying the same thing. That dharma that a person performs, dharma swanushtita yaha, notpadiyad, na utpadiyad Yadir ratim shama eva hi kevalam. So if it doesn't, yadi, give rise to rati, so attachment, affection. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his translation gives it as shraddha, faith, in Vishvaksena Kata. So I was going to actually ask, Vishvaksena, do you know what this refers to? I'm not clear on the sort of origin of this name of the Lord.
Mm.
Vishvaksena? It's in this
Right.
second
No, I'm
chapter of the
looking
first
at it.
canto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. Well, Vishwa means the world, right, or the universe.
Yeah.
And then Kshena, I don't know that word.
So I have to just quickly turn on my AC because it's boiling in here.
Mm. Yeah, Thailand in August. Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
really,
suppose it's like Arizona in August where I
yeah.
am.
Is it humid where you are? Or is it quite dry, I imagine, eh?
Fairly dry, but last night there was a shower. So I actually have the AC off for the first time in days. It's a little
Oh,
bit
wow.
cooler.
Yeah, did you
Yeah.
find it?
Sorry, what did you say?
This Vishvaksena,
Oh,
what
oh,
the
sorry.
origin
I'll look it
of
up.
that,
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that verse though. Um, I
Yeah,
really
it's
love that
wonderful.
verse. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll look it up in the database. Shayna.
does anyone else have any clue?
Maybe Suvasini Didi? Vishvakshena is situated in the stomach and he helps your digestion. This is a commentary of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Well, not surprising you didn't know that one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Uh,
So who
the
helps you
Bhagavatam is
digest?
in
God who helps you digest. If
the,
Vishvakshena does not help you in digesting, then you are forbidden to eat. There are thousands and millions of names of God, and Vishvakshena is one of the names.
wow.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
citing this verse, and then this is in one of
Yeah.
his lectures. How funny. There's also
Interesting.
Janardhan. Doesn't Janardhan like literally mean who eats the people? Or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's Jana Ardana. Actually, I'm not sure. I have to. It's yeah. So, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur just kind of simplifies it and elaborates. So he takes Vishvaksena, Hari, the Lord, yeah, the most kind of uh, general name. Um, so if it is not, so sorry, if Varnashrama, if Varnashram Dharma does not result in faith in Hari Katha, yeah, so it's Hari Katha is Shraddha. If it does not, an Utpati, if it does, yeah, if it does not result in faith in Harikatha, then even if executed uttam rupe, meticulously or however you want to render that properly, is simply mere futile effort, toil, shrama. Yeah? It's only that. So I guess that's how I guess we generally understand, right? So therefore, like the thing that's important is, I guess, then the question is, well, if you have faith in the, Harikatha, do you then need to perform Varnashram Dharma?
Well, you know
Bhaktivinoda
what?
Thakur's,
You
yeah,
know what,
yeah,
Lalita Madhava? There's actually a talk of Srila Maharaj where he was actually pretty much saying that. And there were some devotees from ISKCON. They were coming at this time actually during the Chaturmasya, and they noticed that in the Mat, the Chaturmasya rules weren't being followed so strictly, and so they asked Srila Maharaj about it, and it's on a tape, and he's saying, and he quotes a verse of Prahlad Maharaj. Um, say where Prahlad Maharaj is saying that the goal of the Vedas are discussing so many things, but their ultimate goal is Svatmarpanam, like self-surrender.
Mm.
And so then Srila Sridhar
Mhm.
Maharaj was making the point, like if one has already come to that understanding that we're really cultivating Sharanagati, then these other things they become, less important actually. So it's a little bit of a dangerous idea, but it's actually the truth, isn't it? You know.
Very much so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that is it Narada Pancharatra? Is it that
Mm,
always remember Vishnu, never forget Vishnu. Everything else is just subservient to
mm,
this injunction and prohibition.
right.
Um, uh, uh, yeah, it's potentially quite dangerous though. No, it's
Yeah.
you can see how that can be. How yeah, and then by the time you get to the late 19th century, all sorts of sort of antinomian. It is sometimes possibly, and it can be um, misapplied, right, and becomes
Yeah.
antinomic, transgressive. Oh, the rules of society don't apply to us.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, yeah. And then what does it mean, I guess, in the context of our tradition, Saraswat Gaudiya, to then receive Brahmin thread? You know what I mean? And to be in, this Saraswati Thakur's point there, no, is that there's, yeah, that Vaishnavas are exemplary Brahmins in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not totally divorced from from that somehow,
Well,
right?
yeah, then Saraswati Thakur is establishing Daiva Varnashram, right?
Yeah,
That,
exactly. But it's
we are
but it's
keeping
still,
it. Yeah.
yeah, but it's still Varnashrama. It's
Yeah, it's still Varnashram.
yeah.
Well, but yeah, but that's Saraswati Thakur's point, isn't it? Like that we're not qualified to just skip over Varnashram, right?
Hmm.
That,
Exactly. Yeah.
so
And
I
that yeah, and his disciples then they receive sannyas, and it's not that they're like Babaji
right,
they so much, or they're outside of the system, but sannyas itself is like part of the Varna ashrama order,
right,
right? The socio-religious order
right.
system. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah. I mean, it's not been the emphasis of my, I'm not, because of course it has a particular valence in the context of certain forms of Vaishnavism as practiced in the Western world. And I was like, what is all this about? Like, how do we even, how do we apply any of these? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's a question. Actually, I would ask you. Sorry, this is going slightly off topic. Please forgive me, but or I mean, it's on topic, but it's a little bit of a tangent. Talk about like Ivy Varnashram Dharma. So it's according to quality, right, or inclination, or like that.
Mm.
Not based on birth, right? One's Varna is that. How do you do something that's? I mean, that seems a bit. Do you not find that kind of almost like you call like a tautological? It's not tautological, but like, how do you not do something that you're not inclined to do? You know what I mean? So, in the sense of well, isn't everyone just doing that anyway? So in that sense, wouldn't that just render all societies basically following the Varna system by default, because everyone does what they're inclined to do anyways? I mean, not in all cases, but
Well,
or that
I
have
mean, I think we're all a little bit spoiled. I mean, like in India, I mean, maybe less nowadays, but previously it was, I mean, really in all traditional cultures, there was much more of a rigid structure in society, wouldn't you say?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Exactly.
But it
Not
is
not like a
nowadays, I suppose the whole discussion doesn't seem that relevant because you're right, we have this level of freedom where we can do what we're
yeah,
inclined to.
exactly. Which is it's almost like you need the structure to have pertinence in order to be able to understand the significance of
Mm,
framing it in a divey rather than whatever how mundane or whatever you want to call it.
mm,
But you almost need this the structure to which I guess partly is why, when ISKCON is first getting off the ground, you can't, it's like so much of our discourse doesn't find its, I mean, our teachings, like, and the radicalism of them almost need to be embedded in the context of a particular, of
Yeah,
Varnashrama in order to really, okay, yeah. But in the context of, yeah, liberal, modern liberal democracies and kind of where
yeah,
we don't necessarily have very profound senses of duty anymore in terms of like community, etc.,
right.
expectations or, um, yeah, like, I mean, that's in one reading, of course, I don't, that would be a distorted reading, would be, well, yeah, I mean, we're all just doing what we're, what,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's we had Tyagi Maharaj made this big Upadeshamrita, right? And it has the commentaries, right, of Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Maharaj. There was someone else, I can't, you probably remember, I don't remember his name, another um but what I found interesting is, when I'm looking at the commentaries of Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and this other Vaishnava, in some ways they feel very contextual, like to the time that they're writing, like their language and different things they're bringing up. But this is something that's so um unique and wonderful about Srila Sridhar Maharaj's presentation. Like he speaks in a very universal way, and like the way that, like, generally the way Srila Sridhar speaks and presents things, like it's timeless and universal.
Mm,
And
hmm.
even there was one senior ISKCON devotee who made this point too, like some of the purports, commentaries of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, they're a little problematic today, like,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah,
but
it's really it's a thing now. Yeah.
it's a thing. But like he was like appreciating, but like with the what Srila Maharaj is given, that isn't an issue at all. It's just very timeless, very universal. He's always focusing on like essential spiritual truths. Um and obviously the commentaries of our acharyas, they're a lot of the writing is contextual for a reason. Like Bhaktivinoda here is bringing up this point for a reason, like it was necessary at the
Yeah.
time. So not to discount it. But both, I suppose you just say both have their place, right? Both have their place.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Like
But I
Srila
mean,
Maharaj doesn't really talk about the Varnashrama system. It wasn't really like, I mean, he'll mention it, refer to it, but it's not that it was ever like a point of emphasis, right? As an
mhm,
example, right?
yeah. I mean, but it is interesting that we do have as our Mach logo the inner meaning of the Gayatri, which is, kind of Vedic mantra and associated with, I mean, deeply associated with the life of, the twice born, the so yeah. But I mean,
Also
obviously,
transcended that, like Srila Maharaj's conception of the Gayatri Mantra transcends like this whole Brahminical plane, right? Isn't it? World.
yeah, 100%, yeah.
Mm.
But it's still connect. I mean, definitely, it's 100% that, without a doubt. But it's not something. I mean, like the institution of like giving Gayatri mantra to Vaishnavas, right? And Vaishnav, it comes through really Saraswati Thakur,
Mm.
right? And yeah, it's still embedded in a
Sure,
somehow a
sure.
commentary on Varnashram. And then even you have like, it would say like the highest discourse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Sambad, to be able to really appreciate how, like, okay, well, just, sarva dharmam parityaja, this is superficial, and it's all but it's like, okay, even that itself is already in the Gita, radical. But
Mm.
how to understand its radicalism without having a sense of in that, I mean, of course, it has universal
Yeah.
applicability. That's why,
Can you
it speaks to
close
us.
your
But,
screen share, Lalita Madhu?
oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
Oh no. So yeah, it's what was I saying? It's
How do you appreciate the radical
well,
nature of
well, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like in Gita, even, right? The thing
yeah,
that is, oh no, no, this is external. Go higher.
right.
We, oh yeah, yeah. But like, but no, no, but even Gita itself, right? Just do not fear. I will free you from sin. But in a particular context, wow, when duty has a real, genuine, substantial hold against that backdrop, the radicalism of it, when we're not, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but in my particular life, like, oh yeah, it's cool, but I maybe not getting a, oh yeah, cool. I'll just, yeah, I can buy that, but not realizing actually, whoa, no, that is quite an extreme thing. And then to go higher still, so still our things are embedded in the context
Yeah.
somehow against the backdrop of which one
Mm.
can develop. Yeah, I don't know, a slightly, yeah, I don't know,
Yeah, no, I think you
yeah,
made a really, really good point. There's almost an element of you need to learn the rules before you break the rules. I
yeah,
think there's an
exactly,
element of that.
exactly.
Yeah. I'm reminded of there was one comment Srila Sridharmaraj made. It was something like it was a couple who had divorced and they were both getting remarried or something like that. And Srila Sridharmaraj, he had a Brahminical nature, and when he heard about this, he was so disturbed. And he made this comment. He said, how will they understand? How will they appreciate the sacrifice of the Braja gopis? We have a
Hmm.
Samaho Charanarenu Dushamaham Sam, right? It's celebrating the gopis for giving up religion for the sake of Krishna. Like that's actually a sacrifice. Like that's the highest type of sacrifice to sacrifice even more so-called morality, right? For the sake of Krishna.
Hmm.
Like how will we if we just live in a random way without any type of structure, morality, how will we appreciate these finer things, right? So yeah, yeah, it's an interesting point.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah, definitely. Um, Yeah, well, are there like sorry, I'm only seeing names on the screen. So I said,
Would anyone else like to
if
add
there were
anything or
anyone like
ask
to,
anything? Suvasini Didi would love to hear something from you if you're
hmm.
so inclined. And we have also some comments. Rishabhanavi found something about Vishwakshena. And
Oh
then
wow, cool, yeah.
Sringarasa
Using
also put that
this.
verse which we were discussing there.
Ah, cool. Yeah, useless labor, exactly. Shrama, yeah, if they don't provoke, yeah, the message of the supreme.
Mm.
Yeah. Uh,
Suvasini.
yeah.
Mm. Wanna add anything, Didi? You're muted. You're muted.
No, this point actually been like the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like the mother points it that in the Varnashram Dharma, like Mahaprabhu himself is by his own example, he's setting that following the Varnashram Dharma. That is actually not been discussed, very much at all, right? It's interesting to uh, like like. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out to those people that he himself, his own life is an example like that. He's
Mm.
and the words has been quoted, but that no, that point was it was good to hear that it never was like highlighted in any
Hmm.
of that
Hmm.
uh,
Mm.
discussions, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember once Gurudev talking about that too, and he was like essentially making the point like Mahaprabhu didn't come as a social revolutionary, and he was generally honoring all of these social conventions because his movement
Mm.
was something spiritual, and to come with this
Yeah.
of like a social revolution, that would be almost a distraction, right? That this is like perhaps a slightly different
Hmm.
angle on the discussion, but but yeah, like there are a lot of course, some things he did were revolutionary, just spreading the Maha Mantra, having Muslims lead his movement. There are a few cases, but generally he's just honoring the system, right? Doesn't push for his devotees to enter the Jagannath temple and so on, and following these varnashrama things, and
He did not disturb any of that
yeah,
things. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah. I mean, the thing that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to say next is actually all of these things are necessary for the maintenance of the body and the well-being of society that is based on the body. But it's not that you do them as an end in yourself, but they then become supportive of, once you have a healthy, these provide that healthy backdrop to which one can then cultivate Krishna consciousness, right? The
Mm,
bhakti sadhana, he
mm,
says. So
mm.
yeah, but yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting because it's yeah. I think I'm in your camp, Vishaka Didi. That these aren't things that necessarily really yeah one
Well, I
feels
suppose a
compelled to
lot
place
of
too
them
much
are, like
emphasis
you
on.
said, like a helpful backdrop, you know.
Mm.
It's nice to know there's something there, like it gives some feeling of comfort that there's
Yeah, yeah,
structure and order, and like in my
exactly.
life, it doesn't really play a big part, but Gurudev gave me the cloth, and it helps me to know there's certain things I'm not supposed to do, certain things I am supposed to do. Like that helps regulate my life and keep me on track. Um,
Hmm.
so, it does have its place as a helpful backdrop, as you said. And but then
Hmm.
but then of course the forefront is the practice of Sharanagati and
Yeah.
so on.
Sure.
Harikatha.
But I mean, I guess then someone could say that the Vidhi Marga, as we understand it, essentially is in some way, I mean, this is maybe a slightly speculative and abstract point, but is shaped by a broader context of, dutiful action. It's if we think of Hari Bhakti Vilasa as sort of our Vaishnav Smriti, and the Smriti Shastra essentially is like, where you get emphasis on dharmic ritual action, etc., then it's I think that it's not wholly disconnected, like proper behavior, even the way that the way that you're meant to eat, and you all these sort of things that actually end up being, we don't emphasize them necessarily so much in the way that we, in discourse, but they shape us because you like
Right,
go to Bengal and you're like, you put the spoon on the, on the plate or something, like, and you touch it and it's, there's, I mean, this is this basically kind of, I mean, it's not necessarily technically varnashram dharma, but it does grow out of like what is
right,
right conduct in this particular context. It is shaped by by the basic thrust of that,
right, right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So there's perhaps we are perhaps shaped in it. Our comportment, our just our habitus is perhaps more shaped by some of these things implicitly than perhaps we're that aware of.
Mm,
Yeah. I'm yeah, to greater and lesser degrees. I would say I'm not.
mm. Well,
Whatever. I'm a bit.
Subhasini Didi, she's, I'd say, probably an expert in all this. I mean, she grew up in like such a traditional environment in South India, you know. And it's so cool going to her house
Yeah.
actually, because you really feel like you're entering this space, like sacred space, and it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, it becomes a part of you, when you're practicing it. It just, you don't realize that, you have to do it. You just, you're doing it naturally when you're, it's not when you're in the system and when you're doing that, it becomes, yeah.
Yeah. It's second nature or first, I mean, it's second nature.
Mm.
Um,
One Gurudev made this really interesting.
habitus.
Oh,
Um,
Gurudev made this really interesting point. It's in Revealed Truth. He says something like 90% of the Vedic rulings are to promote respect. And so I feel like this whole culture, like whether it's, Vaidhi or Varnashrama Dharma, like it's kind of like just creating this space where you're respecting the upper world. And then, but the idea is that from that, love will grow, right? That's what Rupa Goswami discusses, right? In that person, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So it's like a starting point, and it's helping to have a space you're cultivating, that will ultimately lead to prema, right? To devotion. So
yeah. That's interesting. I think as well that, there's this term that ends up being used by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this smarta Goswamis, smarta Goshai, right? We get these these that even in the context of, it's interesting the hold that mode of life can end up having, even in the context of Vaishnav practitioners striving for that, still unable to, from his perspective, unable to let go of the pull of this particular social order, the attack, but it's quite difficult to, as I said, it contextually, culturally, it's difficult to understand because if you're not born into it and you're not deeply shaped by it, it seems like a no-brainer. This is, but if you're embedded in the culture, it's actually quite an intense thing. No, it's essentially to transgress communal expectations. Yeah, which is, I don't know. Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, it's getting late for you.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to stop now. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Well, it's been
Oh.
a really wonderful meeting. I'm grateful for your time and happy.
Yes, thank you so much. See, yes, I'm sorry, it's all on Varnashram. I never thought I would. This is not really my topic at all. I'm sorry. To
No,
talk
I
about
mean, it's
Varnashram
in
Dharma. It's a
Chaitanya
bit, it's something. Yeah,
Samrita. Actually, I also
yeah.
just wanted to mention for those who aren't familiar or know about Chaitanya Samrita, it is a book that Gurudev wanted devotees to study, and also Srila Sridhar Maharaj also talked about it, and several devotees shared this with me, like Muralidhar Prabhu in Australia. He told me Srila Sridhar Maharaj personally told him study Chaitanya Samrita. Our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj, he talked about having a school, and he had a list of books he wanted studied. Chaitanya Shikshamrita was on there. So yeah, just to share that if anyone's wondering, what is this book, So I'm really
Why are we? Yeah.
so I'm happy we could go a bit further into it today. And who knows, maybe one day we'll go through all of it.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry, we're also going to get to a part in the end. He says, for those who don't have and I include myself within this, I think it's what is it? Boigyanik buddhi. I think something like that. Analytical intelligence, right? This sort of thing. My request to you is that you please read this book carefully and slowly and think about it. And in time, the result will be that you then have proficiency in doing bichar properly. So I think incrementally is not necessarily a bad thing to, I mean, because I've read the text many, many times, but like you start paying attention, like this slow reading actually can be quite fruitful sometimes. always actually. Yeah. Hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu, we'll let you go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you, Lita
Okay,
Madhava. Thank you,
all the best.
Subhashini, for being here. Thank you, Vishabhanvi, helping with hosting. Thank you all. Nanda Krishna has also joined us. Angel, Nazar. Thank you all for coming. Kirtida. Wish you all a good evening, night, morning, afternoon, and see you next time. Jai Shri Gurudev.
Chai, chai, chai.
Haribol. Okay, see you next time. Dhavat. Jai Lalita Madhava Prabhu. Jai Suvasini Didi. Jai Vaishnava Vinda. Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan. Ki Jai Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premananda. Haribol. Okay.